Country roads, JT Daniels headed to West Virginia. God's country, or so they say. Of course, I've been to West Virginia, and it's more like the country that time forgot. But anyway, this isn't a dog, the state of West Virginia video. Any idiot can do that. JT Daniels was really the most prominent name remaining in the transfer portal, and there's a couple of reasons for why that is. He could have transferred back in January, enrolled somewhere. He was in a degree program at Georgia with one semester to go, and he wanted to graduate. You know, he's going to do that. Anyway, he announced this morning he's headed to West Virginia. I guess it came down to West Virginia, Missouri, Oregon State were the three teams he was primarily considering. West Virginia might be the best of those three teams. I don't think West Virginia is going to be a great team in 2022. They've had a couple of down seasons in a row. Missouri, if he'd have gone there, of course, you've got the pressure and the storylines all year long about eventually having to face Georgia because Georgia and Missouri play every year. Oregon State, I thought he might consider Oregon State just because he's from out west, and so maybe be a little closer to home. I think Oregon State's probably the worst of those three teams, though. We'll see what happens with West Virginia. I think it's a good fit or a good pick for JT Daniels to go there for a couple of different reasons. Although I don't think they're going to be great. They return all 5 offensive linemen. That's good, especially considering the injury issues that JT Daniels has suffered really throughout his career. I mean, had the bad knee injury at Southern Cal that lingered into his first year at Georgia. And then he had a couple of different, not serious injuries last year, but kind of just nagging injuries. He had the abdominal issue or whatever it was. Georgia was never really all that transparent about his injuries. We had an abdominal issue and then a lat issue. Anyway, so, having an offensive line that can protect JT Daniels is probably a pretty good idea. And let's be real, there ain't a whole lot of ferocious defensive fronts in the Big 12 compared to, the SEC, the Big 10, or even the ACC to a certain extent. Has some pretty good defensive lines. Clemson's got the best defensive line in America. But anyway, so all 5 offensive linemen return there. So, hopefully they can protect him. Or, if you're JT Daniels, that's what you're hoping at least. And Graham Harrell, way back in 2018 or 2019 when JT Daniels was at Southern Cal. JT Daniels was only the second freshman ever to start the quarterback for Southern Cal, by the way. Way back then when he was at Southern Cal, Graham Harrell was the offensive coordinator there. So, of course, he learned that system, which is sort of an air raid. They throw the ball a ton. Graham Harrell loves to throw the ball around. Well, he's the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach at West Virginia now. So, with only 1 year of eligibility remaining, it's probably smart that JT Daniels goes to a system that he's already familiar with, right? I mean, he sort of studied under that system for a year or two at Southern Cal. He's familiar with the terminology. He's comfortable with Graham Harrell. He'll know a lot of the plays, right? And even if he's, sort of gotten rusty or forgot some of them, he should be able to pick them back up pretty quick. So, reunited with Graham Harrell. And look, of course, all the Georgia boards, congratulations on going 500 next year and all that. Listen, JT Daniels was a top 300 recruit when he came out of high school at a Mitre Day. Everyone wanted him. He went to Southern Cal. He came to Georgia. And let's not act like he didn't do anything at Georgia either. These Georgia fans, man, as soon as somebody transfers away from Georgia, these fans, man, a lot of them they throw these players under the bus. You should see the things they're saying about Jermaine Burton on Georgia boards, who's probably going to be the best wide receiver in the SEC this year, by the way. Well over 1,000 yards for Burton this year, my prediction. Anyway, they're ragging on JT Daniels. Let's not forget, okay? JT Daniels is 7-0 as a starter. There's no quarterback in Georgia history with more starts than JT Daniels without any losses. I mean, there's not. He completed 70% of his passes at 10 yards per attempt. Better than any Georgia quarterback, those numbers. So let's not act like the guy didn't do anything at all. Things didn't go his way, particularly last year, okay? The whole Stetson Bennett thing, I'm not going to get into that. But JT Daniels came in. He didn't complain. He didn't bitch and moan. At least not publicly. We don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but it's not like the guy was moping around on the sidelines and, things like that. He was engaged mentally in every single game. He talked to Stetson every time he would come off the field. And when he did play, he played well. I mean, the guy averaged 300 yards a game in his 7 starts. I mean, the last time we really saw him play, he went 9 for 10. That was way back against Vandy or South Carolina, whatever it was. The last meaningful time, really, that he played. He only played the first quarter. He was 9 of 10 with like 2 touchdown passes, and we were winning 28-0 after the first quarter. They took him out, and we basically never saw him again, ever. He played the second half of the Georgia Tech game. Last game. Anyway, I wish him nothing but the best. So, yeah, he could have stayed on Georgia. He could have stayed at Georgia. Rode the bench again in his last year of eligibility for no reason at all behind Stetson Bennett and win 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, however many games you think Georgia's going to win. Or he can go to West Virginia, start every single game, throw for 4,000, 4,500 yards, whatever it is, take his shot, shoot his shot this year to try to get into the NFL. So what if they go 7-5 or 6-6 even? I mean, not that he wants to go 7-5 or 6-6. And look. The Big 12, Oklahoma's going to be down this year, in my opinion. They lost a ton of offensive talent, then brought in a defensive head coach to coach a defense that doesn't have any talent on it to start with. So Oklahoma could be down this year. Texas is a coin flip any given year. Baylor and Oklahoma State played in the Big 12 title game last year, who I think both of those teams will be good again this year. But it's not like there's some dominant team or 2 or 3 top 10 teams in the Big 12 that West Virginia's going to have to worry about. I mean, if JT Daniels plays well, and they've got some skill guys returning for West Virginia too. Now, they need some defensive help, but they've got some skill guys returning on offense too. I mean, if JT Daniels plays well, West Virginia can win 8-9 games, and JT Daniels has a ring. He's got a national title ring, So this is his chance to, show NFL teams and scouts and all that despite the injuries that he's sort of suffered through for the majority of his college career, this is his opportunity to show the NFL and the NFL scouts and the teams and the GMs and all those people that he has what it takes to be given a shot at the next level. And I don't know if he could have picked a better situation to walk into. There's not a single quarterback on West Virginia's roster that's ever started a game. So he's, you're never guaranteed to be the starter, but, all indications are that, week 1, West Virginia, JT Daniels is going to step on that field as a starting quarterback. He's the most talented quarterback on the roster. He's got the most experience on the roster. He's played under Graham Harrell before. He's familiar with the system. He can throw the ball 35 times a game if that's what they want him to do. So I think it's a good fit. And I hope he does well. I mean, Georgia doesn't play West Virginia, so West Virginia can win all their games for all I care. This is going to be the best quarterback West Virginia's had in a while. So, yeah, JT Daniels, a West Virginia Mountaineer. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home, country road.